People deluded, I'm back again. Now, Pochettino's made some comments that a lot of people are speaking about in regards to, obviously it will get lost between the headlines of trophies only trophies only boost egos. Top four is what Spurs need. Things of that nature. You saw it off the back of them going out in the FA Cup to Palace. Now, I've got some things to say. Firstly, I will say this. I actually agree with Pochettino. I think he's been lost to a degree in communication. We'll get on to what I don't agree with. But I actually agree. Now, in the backdrop of things, we know if it was white and black, I'm sure most teams, most players, in fact, not even players, I think players would pick the trophy over top four, to be honest with you, within reason. But we know within the dynamics, everyone would want to win FA Cup, Champions League. Well, let me not say the elitist competitions in it, but everyone would love to win a cup. Let's just keep it on the Cat Yaraba and the FA Cup. Now, obviously, if you was to offer Spurs an FA Cup or a Cat Yaraba and not the top four, I've spoken with some Spurs fans that have said yes. Many would also say no. Obviously, we'd all like to win trophies. Arsenal would have loved to win the FA Cup, but the top four is essentially a trophy now. Wenger was innovative. Wenger was ahead of his time, and he used to get bantered for telling things like this. And I actually think Pochettino, the comments, these comments are exactly like Wenger. Wenger is being killed for comments that Pochettino is being praised for. No disrespect for Spurs fans, because you're ahead of us as a club and in a better shape. But I think a lot of that is because if Spurs don't win titles, you're not judged on winning titles. You're not judged on that sort of thing. Because if you was, you've been this very good side in the Premier League, one of the second to third best teams in the league, always up there, and you're still not really critiqued for not winning a trophy. And you've spoken of consistency, of building something special and all of these things, but I would believe that's the minimum. People say look at the consistency at Spurs to be in the top four. That's great, especially when it's now a top six, but isn't that the bare minimum for wanting to achieve trophies? But so yeah, I agree. In the current backdrop of Spurs, staying in the top four for financial reasons is what's needed. Obviously, they're not going to, like us, they're not going to win the Prem, they're not going to win champs, so they need to get back into the top four. The financial rewards of the top four cannot be underestimated, especially with the stadium and possibly what Danny Levy is saying. Off the back of that as well, I also feel a lot of these comments that Poch was making, it could to a degree be classed as a, I don't know, it's a not snide little comments, but little sound waves that have probably been either passed down by Levy to him, or he's trying to say to the fans a kind of an SOS sort of thing. So yeah, I don't disagree with his comments about top four. Top four is vital to all sides. Wenger was saying this for time. It's vital to Spurs. They need it, especially with the backdrop of the season. Obviously, if they want to sign better players and things like that, we know they need more money. But the Champions League is a big carrot. On one hand, all clubs, including us, like, what is it? You also find yourself away from the financial constraints. It's like, what is the real point qualifying? Because if we're honest, Spurs are not going to win champs. Arsenal, if we were in it, definitely not. But you see the importance of consistently qualifying. And why do you I have to answer, why consistently being a club or a part of something that you know you're never going to win, beyond the stadium, beyond the need for them to fix their stadium and us needing to pay it off, and the financial rewards, obviously, and just by being in the competition. So I agree with what he said. Like, they do need that. On the backdrop of things, them getting top four is more important than winning a trophy. But by the same logic, if football ends tomorrow, we've heard all these great things about Spurs, the consistency they're building something special, how good they've been. Their players, even though Toby Alderweireld's coming out and saying you can't underestimate how good we've been in terms of consistency. That they have been. They've been one of the last 3 years, 4 years possibly, one of the most consistent sides. Bad boy side Spurs, you have to rate them. But if they're talking about being one of the most, not even them, yeah, praise has been one of the most consistent. They've got Harry Kane, he's always going to be up there for top goal scorers. I'm not too sure now, but definitely a couple of years ago, and probably now statistically one of the best defenses. They've got Eriksen. We know they need more quality, but they've definitely got a lot of quality. So to not win a trophy is question marks. If with all of this and all the special things they've been building, if football ends tomorrow, what is Spurs' contribution to their fans? What is Spurs' contribution to football? You're looking around, there's nothing. I'm sure most fans will not care that they built something special or they got a point against Madrid and things like that. So yeah, and for the Spurs fans that want to win a trophy, what's wrong? He said boosting egos. It only boosts to build a team's ego. That is true, and I actually feel a lot of what he said has been taken out of context. It is true what he said about the ego thing, but to a degree, is that a bad thing? Because footballers are in it to win trophies. Nobody's going to care that they got top four for 4 years in a row when they're 35 or on their deathbed. No one's going to care about that. So trophies are all things played for. Trophies are what the fans want. ultimately as well, what's wrong with having an ego? What winning team hasn't developed an ego or had an ego? You'll be hard to find them. Barcelona of many years play with a swagger. Madrid that won the Champions League several years in a row played with a swagger. Manchester City have an ego. Do you get it? Man United, historically under Ferguson, they played with an ego. Arsenal, there's an ego. So there's not necessarily a bad thing with having an ego as a footballer. And I just feel that Spurs and Pochettino, to a degree, not the fans, but they have it comes across as a very elitist sort of attitude to trophies that some of their fans have never seen them win. Like when you hear things like, we've got bigger things to fry than the FA Cup, we're resting players in the Carabao, we're focusing on the Champions League, where we want to compete in the major trophies. These are all comments Pochettino, if you type in his name from December 2017 and beyond that, down to this day, is said. So while I agree with what he said, and a lot of what he said is taken out of context, it doesn't make sense. And in one of the articles I was reading, he actually mentioned the Champions League. In one hand, he said going out of the Carabao and the FA Cup, woo woo and and then we won't need to go into detail on that. And then he's gone and said, we're still in the champs. We've got a game against Dortmund. The fans know what it means. We've got a big chance and all of these things. So, again, I don't think you're saying that. But by looking at it from all sides of the coins, you're saying you can't win the Carabao and FA Cup. But then you're saying that you're kind of sounding bullish on the Champions League. Does that make any sense, people? Of course, it's the Champions League. You have to have a go and play on the underdog tag. But does that really make any sense? Really and truly, we get that. He said the main thing is that Spurs stay consistently in the top four, and that's true. I think Spurs fans would want to win titles, but the minimum is staying within the top four. If I just, of course, the iPad, the old thing. Sorry, guys, but just to bring up some of his comments, I'm not gonna read it all because he said, "Bear, yo, technology's messing up." Okay, people, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but let's just look. Okay, now it wants to freeze. Yeah, here we go. Finally scrolling down. Okay, people. Again, we're going to have the debate whether a trophy will take the club to the next level. I don't agree with it. It only builds your ego. The most important thing right now is to always be in the top four. Like I said, I agree. Like when it's like that, I agree with him. Like winning a trophy doesn't necessarily mean they're going to elevate to compete. It doesn't mean if they won the FA Cup or Carabao this year, they're going to win champs or win the Prem. It doesn't mean that. But there's no getting away from the fact of you need to win trophies in football. These players, Spurs have too good of a team not to be getting in finals. You threw away the Carabao Cup over two-legged ties. Yes, there was injuries. FA Cup, yes, there was injuries, but threw away the game by your own stretch of the imagination. Sooner or later, you can't sidestep winning trophies. I think what Pochettino and Spurs have done is great, but you can't sidestep it. And I do agree. Like I said, winning trophies doesn't correlate to elevating to the next level. Or if Arsenal will be back winning Premier Leagues and that. How many FA Cups we won in the last 3-4 years or so? So yeah, I agree. The main things is clearly getting the top four for the financial rewards, and obviously in the backdrop of the stadium, possibly keeping the key players together, possibly getting in some quality, and just adding greater consistency and things like this. Personally, I feel Spurs, they're at the point they just need some significant investment, because Pochettino, I wouldn't say he's done all of what he can, because there's still question marks, because I know a lot of fans aren't happy with him based on the game against Palace, but he's proven his credentials of sorts away from winning a trophy. I mean, he's shown he can play a bunch of tactics, and I really like Pochettino. I know he's a Spurs manager. The fans obviously want to win stuff. They've got some good players, but they just need a couple more bits of quality so they can go into a season and say, cool, Kane gets injured, Son flies off to the Asian Games, Delhi gets suspended or whatever, there's other people, or they're just simply not at it, there's other people. Now, I say all of this, but if Kane and Delhi are not at it, there's obviously Eriksen, there's Son been in good form, more are in patches, and you get the point. But continuing, well, we don't need to, he's talking about the season being tough, we don't need to speak about that. Yeah, here we go. But now we have to be positive. We are still in two competitions, in a good position in the Prem, and the Champions League is a massive motivation for the whole club. We have to be strong. People wish we could win some titles, but being realistic, we are doing so well. To win a trophy here in England like the FA Cup or Carabao Cup is down to being lucky, and not only about the quality of your squad. To arrive here in different conditions so you can fight or be stronger. Of course, it's tough to compete and win things when these things happened as they did. Sometimes when you assess football, you only look at which team won and which team lost, but you have to consider all circumstances. Now, I think that's very disrespectful to just put it down to luck. Of course, you do get the rub of the green and things like that. If you was to go through when Arsenal were invincible, there were several stages where a tie could have went a different way. United, when it came to winning the treble and many title winning sides by United and other trophies, there's obviously been luck. There's been, when you look at our unbeaten record and Van Nistelrooy hitting the crossbar and things like that, there is luck. But you only get that through working hard, and to just put it down to luck is ridiculous. FA Cup, you got to go through how many rounds? You was one step away from getting to the final in the Carabao. So and you got rid of Arsenal. Fair enough, both teams rested players, but you got rid of a big side. You was winning 1-0 against Chelsea and threw it away over the two legs, over the second leg specifically, and bottled the pen. So it's not down to luck. That's very disrespectful, I think, as well. You guys know I love Poch, but for someone that hasn't won a trophy since they've been here, to say that is kind of disrespectful, and it goes back to what I'm saying. Like, he kind of gives off this elitist vibe at times, and I don't really agree with it. But fundamentally I agree with what he said. Obviously, a lot of what he's saying is taken out of context, and people only seeing no trophies, top 4, and things like that. But it is what it is. And he said, now the realistic targets are trying to be in the top 4, try and be close to Manchester City and Liverpool and reduce the gap. To be a contender, it's always difficult for us. Top 4 is realistic. Another is to try and beat Dortmund and be in the next round. That is tough. I mean, so yeah, he sounds bullish on the champs, which is hardest to do, and the Prem. I mean, that's what you got to do. I mean, City's won the league. They won the league last year. Liverpool are taking them down to wire. You have to play catch up. They're the two sides to look at. I mean, if you look at the top 4, it's them two. It's probably Spurs, and then you've obviously, if you want to, depending on how you want to look at it from a mathematical point of view, you've got Spurs and Chelsea, and then you've got Arsenal and United, or you've got Spurs and then you've got Chelsea, United, Arsenal. You've got all of them in and amongst it. So it's going to be a battle for the top 4. I don't feel Arsenal can get it. Obviously, I would love my club to go and do it, but I feel out of everybody, we're against it because we're probably the most disorganised, not even just tactically on a football pitch and things like that. I'm talking just togetherness and ethos and all of these sort of things. United, they're resurgent. Your Spurs, they've got some injuries right now, and there's a lot of question marks and a bit of I wouldn't say top-turvy form because they're getting results, but a bit of a wobble and a bit of a question marks and look a bit tired. But they've been here for many years, so you've got to respect them. Poch has got them playing a different way. They can play many different systems. What I mean by different way is that he's got them playing exactly to his way, I should have said. Obviously, you've got City and Liverpool are great. Chelsea are a bit of a weird one because you'd expect Chelsea and Spurs to do it in regards to the top 4. But if a run of results don't go Chelsea's way, you never know. And yeah, man, I feel Arsenal are the weakest out of all of them, but it's going to be a great fight for the top 4 essentially. But yeah, man, like, yeah, I feel obviously if Spurs was to sit here and win the FA Cup and not be in the champs, many fans wouldn't be happy. That happened to us anyways. But on the other hand, I speak to both sets of Spurs fans, the ones that can see this stuff and the ones that want to win a trophy, and I get it. There's no right answer. Personally, I think, obviously, I don't know Spurs. I watched the game, but I don't know Spurs like you lot. Obviously, I know about Kane and Dele. They've got their own fitness problems and a couple other players. But I feel he kind of threw the tie away. It was a bit defensive against Palace, a bit over-defensive. Possibly could have started certain players sooner. I don't feel they helped themselves with the creativity. Dyer and Skip. I like Skip, but his strengths are not passing the ball forward. You can see him having a career at Spurs, but it won't be for breaking the lines. They kind of harmed themselves there, and I think a big reason as to that is probably how the players have to take the blame, but probably how Pochettino lined up. It could have went a different way. Not to be disrespectful to Palace, because at the end of the day, it's the magic of the FA Cup, and they did their thing. But yeah, man, that's all I've got to say, to be honest, people, man. And I know a lot of you are onto me about speaking about Premier League. I do it anyways, but you lot say I should speak about Premier League broadly. I can only do it when the topics come, if you lot don't want to throw them. So I thought this would be a chance. But like I said, man, I agree with Pochettino in regards to his top 4 comments. A lot of what he said has been taken out of context, but all in all, I agree with him. Just feel the egos thing didn't really sit well with me, and I feel, yeah, just generally he sounds a bit elitist to trophies he's never won, and trophies that some Spurs fans, my age group, have never seen the team win. Spurs fans, you know I love banter, but I'm actually not getting at you because with Arsenal stress right now, Spurs are the least thing on my mind. But yeah, people, man, yeah, man. Either way, I believe Spurs, like I said, for the last few years, we've been saying they got the best this in England, the best that, and the third. I believe there's too good of a squad not to challenge to a greater level for trophies, but I also believe you can see they just need a couple bits more of quality. Maybe another quality, more central midfielder. That strengths are probably breaking the lines a bit. probably another winger, maybe another striker or whatnot, whether that's on the bench to back Harry Kane off it or to start with him, or just give Pochettino some positive selection headaches and stuff, and to just enable them to have more equipment and more ammunition to go and achieve their goals. That's just what I believe anyways, because like I said, man, you also can't knock their consistency. It's been there, but at the end of the day, on one hand, it's great consistency, but on the other hand, surely that's the bare minimum. Like that's the bare minimum. Like City have to be consistent to win trophies. Like, should we praise them for their consistency? Yes, we should. But by the other hand, should we really and truly, like, should we really praise sports teams or sportsmen for doing elitist stuff if they want to be elites or reach the elite levels? I'm not knocking it, but I'm just putting through all sides of the coin. You lot know I like to play devil's advocate. I don't even like saying devil's advocate because I want to go to heaven. But people, deluded, man. Thank you for your time. I'm out.